welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs and business news podcast. I'm your host, Chad White, and if you didn't know, this is that jobs and business podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. You'll have to forgive me if you're watching this video, you did see my eyebrows shift in such a way that, quite frankly, I don't understand. I can't control it. This is so strange. Sometimes I'll go to the C Plus Comedy spam folder on the email. Why am I leaning forward? Sometimes I'll go to the C Plus Comedy spam folder on the email, and then I'll see some insane things that were filtered out. Right now, I see somebody, AVAX 350 LC, from Billing Liquid Clips, emailed twice on July 27th, yesterday, asking about clipping services and uncut videos and stuff like that. And then someone named EYALAL Simcoe wants to be featured on the Constitutionals as an interviewer, as an interviewee, rather. The founder of QTime, some type of AV production workflow, I don't know, QTime.io, some AI bullshit. It's not happening. Deleting the messages as we speak. Welcome back in. There's not a lot of time. Let's get into it. Okay. Oh, here's the first. I'm sorry. I did see something. There's a story that's coming up later that I see. That I see like it's on Variety, and I see the suggested stories on the side, and it's a translator for The Odyssey. Emily Wilson is complaining. Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is complaining about the script to the movie, complaining about having worked on the screenplay. Oh, a negative view. For the adaptation for psychological, emotional, political, and ethical depth for lacking that stuff. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? She adds, Nolan's Odyssey lacks many of the elements that make the poem great. It has nothing convincing to say about time, memory, history, war. Why are people looking for meaning? First of all, that the movie had separate messages from the poem itself, from the epic, from Homer's epic of the Odyssey itself. Second, why are we looking for meaning in everything? Sometimes things can just be. I'm watching The Hawk on Netflix, and it's not entirely a great show, but I enjoy seeing Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon and Jimmy Tatro. Who gives a shit? Sorry, I'm cursing so much. That pissed me off. All right. I don't want to read through that bull crap. Look at me. Cleaned it up. Also, you'll see that if you're watching the video, you see that I touched the mic 100 times in the past 2 minutes. And I did something that helped. I turned down the gain knob on the mic. So now I can move it around and do all the things I need to do without it crackling. All right, let's get on to the first story. I'm sorry I wasted your time. Because quite frankly, I'm wasting mine. This comes from New York Times, written by Lauren McCarthy. Cracker Barrel chief executive who oversaw logo change steps down. You know, the biggest news story of the last year. that changed that really affected all of the right-leaning people and dumbasses on TikTok. Oh, I have the crossword open on the work laptop. Like, why is that open? Cracker Barrel has a new CEO in David Dino, a former chief of Bloomin' Brands, who is taking over for Julie Massino next month. If I remember, in August, Massino is the one who spearheaded the campaign to change the Cracker Barrel logo to something updated and more simplistic. and it removed the old man in the overalls sitting in a chair and leaning on a barrel. And it just really was just the words Cracker Barrel. And then people went crazy, calling it woke. Remember, this past weekend, there were multiple mass shootings. And this is the shit that people complain about. Massino's going to get paid $4.6 million in severance, according to a regulatory filing. And then the new guy, Dino, is going to get a salary base of $1 million, along with an annual bonus and company equity. Same store sales. I'm sorry, I scrolled right past something. All right, same store sales for Cracker Barrel's restaurants fell 2.6% in the 3 months that ended on May 1st, compared with a year earlier, and foot traffic declined 6.7%. You think it was because of the logo? Overall revenue fell nearly 3% during the quarter to $797.4 million. Now, Massino's tenure was very short. She joined Cracker Barrel in 2023 after having served as Taco Bell's president of international operations. Okay. If this was something that really affected, that really affected you as a person, you should go get help. I'm going to say the same thing when a Peloton instructor starts crying in a class. Go get help. The chain's value dropped by $100 million when this whole fiasco happened. And you know, I just can't believe that people are complaining about that. People actually complained about that stuff. It's the same thing when Tucker Carlson and his cronies were complaining that the green M&M, the sexy M&M, is no longer being used, mostly because it's crazy to have a green M&M in high heels or some bullshit with those big eyelashes batting at me, tempting me. The green M&M is a temptress. Truly, if this is something that you cared about, that all restaurants are having issues. It's so expensive to go out and eat, and when people go out to eat, they want to either get their money's worth. So that means going to the aforementioned Taco Bell or McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, or they're going to treat themselves to something better than the Cracker Barrel. It just this is insane. Also, 3% is not that much. Companies wish things would drop by 3%. All right, let's move on. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Eric Hayden. BuzzFeed, HuffPost, and Tasty to lay off 180 staffers. Remember, if you'll recall, Byron Allen bought a controlling stake in the companies that were just mentioned. BuzzFeed had approximately 510 employees prior to the cuts. Now the company says they're going to see $29 to $32 million in annualized savings from the move to cut staff. The layoffs amount to about 35% in reduction in staff for the media brand that owns HuffPost, Tasty, and BuzzFeed Studios. There's probably some memo floating around, and they do have a memo section right here, but they're probably just talking about stabilize, protect, and grow the company. They want to say we're lean and we're going to move faster and we're going to have better blah blah blah, but it's they just want to save money and make money for the people up top. It was a $120 million agreement that happened in May. Allen owns 52% majority stake in the company, as well as the CEO role from founder Jonah Peretti, who funded by $20 million in cash and $100 million in a form of a promissory note due 5 years after the deal closed. I saw a piece on, I'm going to reference them because they politely asked to be referenced at the top of their Nielsen ratings articles that I just noticed. But Late Nighter, which is a late night website that gives news on late night TV shows, but I should just bring it up. How do I do this? I go to latenighter.com. But they put out an article concerning the ratings for the last couple of weeks. This is from Jed Rosenwig. I'm not going to link this in the show notes, but I will read everything. Read the headline and all that stuff. Byron Allen's late night rating superpower, retention. And I'm going to give a very baseline summary on what Jed wrote here, but it turns out that the two shows that Byron Allen put in to replace CBS's now canceled Late Show and Late Late Show, the Comics Unleashed and what is the other show called? Comics Unleashed and Funny You Should Ask. Both shows that are just like filmed in bulk and now just released. And then also the thing is, he has those shows. He pays, he finds the advertisers themselves, so CBS does not have to. So apparently this is very baseline. You should go read this yourself. There's charts and everything. If you're watching the video, there's charts and everything where hosts like Colbert and Kimmel and Fallon and Myers were losing audiences after the monologue. It turns out people are staying with Byron Allen shows more often than they stay with the other late night shows, which is an insane thing to hear. That the night owls that are watching these shows live decide to stay with just like the blanket comedy that Byron Allen puts out. Now, BuzzFeed and Tasty and HuffPo weren't exactly doing extremely well. BuzzFeed reported a nearly 20% decline in advertising revenue year over year in its latest quarter. The company's net loss for the quarter was $15.1 million, which is significantly more than $5.1 million, which is actually $10 million more. Up from $12.5 million last year. BuzzFeed is set to report its next earnings disclosure on August 4th. Now, this company is still the BuzzFeed and HuffPo and on all that, and the Tasty is, and I think Tasty is just an offshoot of BuzzFeed. Anyway, it's those are not connected to Allen Media Group, which consists of the Griot, the Weather Channel. The Griot The Griot was a hold on, let me finish this sentence. The Weather Channel, the Griot, local TV stations in several cities, Local Now, HBCU Go, and branded networks like Cars TV and Pets TV. Now, I wrote 2 or 3 stories for the Griot in a freelance capacity. I think it was 2. I did a test, which they used, and then I did another story. It was 2, because I had to go to Kennesaw. Cool, because I pitched a story about Kennesaw, racism at Kennesaw, on Kennesaw's campus, and then I went up there with my shitty little camera that couldn't record more than like 4 minutes at a time. I did some interviews, and then I came back. I did the story. It was about 15 minutes long. They were like, cut it down. I went, you're right. I cut it down to 4 minutes, which is crazy. And then they were like, you need to do some more follow-up. And I was like, you have not. It was at that point, it had been like 3 or 4 weeks. And I went, you have not paid me, and I cannot afford to drive from the city back to Kennesaw. That was while I was still dog walking too. And then they never called me back after that. I worked at the Weather Channel before my contract was canceled, and then going to Cartoon Network several months later. Was that Bounce? No, I went to Bounce first, and then Cartoon Network. Before Bounce, I was working at REW Scripts. I was working at Starbucks at CNN Center. Boy, that sucked. I've talked about it before. And then my other connection. So I have 3 connections to Byron Allen. Never met the man. My other connection was at HBCU Go so after I was laid off from Cartoon Network. Is the only time I was laid off. No, I was laid off from Bounce too. When I was laid off from Cartoon Network, I couldn't. I couldn't get a job for a very long time. I know I've spoken about that here, and at one point, I want to say, I don't know, in the summer or spring. It doesn't matter. Let's say summer. I'm trying to paint a picture, baby. At one point in like that following summer or something like that, I finally found 2 jobs. One was at CNN, and the other was at HBCU Go, which is Historical Black College and Colleges and University Go, which is like some type of fucking website or something. I don't know. But I got an interview at both, and then they both offered me positions. HBCU Go, the woman was very adamant on getting me to work there because she was like, "You've already been with the Weather Channel, and we want to start you on HBCU Go, and then we want to start you on Local Now, which is Local Now is like their local streaming service that would deliver you local news for free, a free streaming service that will deliver you local news and local weather on Pluto TV or Tubi or Roku, however you get your free local news, and the website." She's like, "We'll start you there, and then we're going to start this thing in a couple of months in September for football season for HBCU Go, called HBCU Go, and you can and we'll have you write sports stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And she goes, "We can offer you this." I think it was like $20, and CNN was $17. And I took a chance with CNN because the woman at Local Now / HBCU Go for Byron Allen, she was not very positive that the HBCU Go thing would happen. And then at CNN, I was like, I'm back in the fold at Warner Brothers. Like that was, and so I took a chance on myself. And then I took the CNN thing, and I fucking hated it. And then, but I bit my tongue, and I still did the job. And October came around, and that's when the Hamas attacks began, and my contract was going to end, and then they needed people, and then they were like, "Hey, we're renewing your contract. You got to come in." And then I stayed at CNN for however more many fucking months. Dan, I heard this is so crazy because a couple of months after that, when I was still at CNN and when we were in the process of moving from the CNN building downtown to the Warner Brothers building in Midtown, HBCU Go had already launched, and then there was a bunch of layoffs at Allen Media Group. And I was like, that could have been me. And then like a month later, my contract at CNN was canceled. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember. That all just came rocketing back. I don't know what Byron Allen wants out of all of these companies that he's pursuing, or that he already has. And BuzzFeed Studios has already released a memo to the public saying that Byron sees incredible opportunity in all of our assets and recognizes BuzzFeed, HuffPost, Tasty, and BuzzFeed Studios have large audiences and are great brands. But growth cannot come if there are not people there to support it. There's a new division that the old boss will be running, the former chief executive Peretti will be running called BuzzFeed AI. And this shift towards AI, I don't think is going to help anybody in the long run. But what if Allbirds fails? I'm supporting Allbirds failing, switching from a shoe company to an AI company, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, I'm cursing so much. It's hot outside. And the air is not going off for some reason. All right, this next one comes from the New York Times, written by Lauren Hirsch, David McCabe, Benjamin Mullen. Why Paramount paused its blockbuster $111 billion deal for Warner Brothers. This is a giant step. On Thursday evening, Jeffrey Kessler, the top trial lawyer for the media behemoth Paramount, said that they are going to pause this merger. This is not the fault of Paramount. It's not the fault of Warner Brothers. It's and I'm not saying, when I say fault, I don't mean it as a negative. It is because a judge paused it, and then Paramount agreed to save face. I think the crux of this whole thing, and I'm trying not to say crux. The crux of this whole thing is there's just no money for this. $111 billion. Oracle is losing money left and right. Warner Brothers is not trading very highly. Paramount's not trading very highly. And there's a courtroom. And now there's going to be some kind of courtroom showdown between the government and this and Warner Paramount for this Warner Brothers deal. Everybody's challenged this. The Writers Guild of America, all the actors that have ever acted with Warner Brothers, producers, all that stuff. And even, this comes from Variety, written by Todd Spangler and Michael Schneider, some Warner Brothers executives are hoping states' antitrust lawsuit derails Paramount deal. If you'll recall, actually, I don't know if this is this show or the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News show, but 12 states sued to block Warner Brothers Paramount Skydance Skydance's Warner Brothers Discovery deal. Leading those states is California. It also includes New York. I'm trying to find the 12 states, and I am truly having trouble. I don't know why I am struggling. Everybody's against this thing. Where the heck? Where the shoot? Where are they? And if you'll remember, Paramount really wanted to close this deal before September 30th because of this $7 million a day ticking fee that they have to pay to Warner Brothers investors because they imposed it on themselves. That Paramount imposed it on themselves. So this delay means that some of America's most important news and entertainment organizations are trapped in a limbo. CNN, Cartoon Network, HBO Max, Warner Brothers Film Studios, even Warner Brothers Games, they are all part of this deal, and people who were worried about their jobs are already going to have to be, that were already worried about their jobs, rather, are going to be even more worried because if the deal falls through, there's no funding, layoffs. If the deal goes through, layoffs. The lawsuit from the states, the 12 states, remember the list I could not find, is one of the final hurdles of the deal after the Justice Department declined to challenge the acquisition last month. Remember, the Justice Department is run by Trump and his little cronies. He did an hour and 5 minutes at the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he was telling bad jokes, and he was going, "Who wrote this stuff is not good." Like Joe Coy did that at the Golden Globes a couple of years ago. And that was crass, and that was not good. Paramount says that states are ignoring the dominance of streamers like YouTube and Netflix, viewing the industry through a narrow lens. I listened this morning. There was an episode of Kara Swisher, I'm going to say her first, and Scott Galloway's podcast Pivot, in which they talked about the merger. Hold on, I have to show archived on what's it called? Fucking Pocket Cast. Now the episode is called. Wait, no, this is. Oh, is that really? Or is this? Hold on, I think I'm wrong. Ba-da-ba-ba. Okay. Paramount merger pause, comma, Meta AI optimism, comma, and the peptide boom. And in the Paramount merger pause section of the episode, Scott, I believe, mentioned how what the argument in favor of Paramount, like he was arguing in favor of Paramount, but Paramount would use their lawyer to say it's not a monopoly. YouTube has 13% viewership and is leading in the viewership, and Netflix is leading through and with their other viewerships and things of that nature. But there's just a lot more to it. Paramount recently hired Beth Wilkinson, a partner at the law firm Wilkinson Setloff. She also defended the Microsoft acquisition of Activision, and we see where that ended up. That went through, and then they released Call of Duty. Oh, God, what's the one? Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or 7 on Game Pass, and it sucked. Even I played it, and I was like, this stinks. I spent a very sad Saturday night playing that with random people online, because you had to play with random people or else it was too hard, or you had to play with friends. Paramount and the States both declared victory after they agreed to the delay. Remember, Paramount, the States wanted the delay. Paramount said after the fact, yeah, we agree. Paramount's proposal changes its position from just 2 weeks earlier. On July 13th, the state attorneys general requested a voluntary stop on the deal while the litigation played out, and Paramount wasn't willing to freeze past September because, again, they have to pay that $7 million a day ticking fee. And I believe the ticking fee would amount to be $11 billion towards the end, if had it gone on to 2027. The judge in the case, Judge Martinez Olgian, said that she would not pause the deal indefinitely while she considered the lawsuit a so-called preliminary injunction. Paramount asked for an extensive hearing in mid to late August to make its case against the injunction and pressed repeatedly for the chance. I scrolled and it moved so far long. And pressed repeatedly for the chance to bring witnesses to that hearing. That was on July 15th. They felt it was rushed. Then on Monday, the judge said the injunction hearing was going to be set for August 3rd, earlier than Paramount wanted. It did not say whether she would allow testimony from witnesses. That was last Monday. And then on Thursday, Judge Martinez Olgian asked Paramount, the states, and the Writers Guild to meet to try to determine a schedule for arguments over the injunction. And that was and then she wanted all that information within the next day. Hours later, on the call with the states and the Writers Guild, Mr. Kessler proposed the pause that would allow the state to go to trial. Man, this deal is not breaking well for Paramount. When everybody's against you and you don't have the money, why continue doing this? If you recall, David Ellison, the son of Larry Ellison, purchased. He was the head of Skydance. He purchased Paramount last year. They set their sights on Warner Bros. Discovery after Netflix bowed out of their initial deal. The $111 billion deal for Warner Bros. Discovery in its entirety came up. It has been increasingly clear that the Ellisons, who also got the money, got partial money from Saudi princes and Saudi wealth funds and everything, are going to kowtow to Trump's will when it comes to CNN. And if anything, I think that CNN already what's his fucking face? Mark Thompson and his buddy David have already bowed to to Trump regardless. Anyway. What's his name? Zaslav. That's it. Mark Thompson and David Zaslav. They already bowed to Trump regardless. And as that became increasingly clear, people were like, okay, this is very, very bad. Because then you lose another institution. You already lost CBS News. Throughout the M&A process, throughout the entire deal, WBD has expanded HBO Max internationally. They've also got licensing deals with the NHL or MLB that will expire December 2028. But the longer the Paramount WBD merger gets held up, the closer the Warner Brothers teams will be bumping into the timeline of needing to renew those deals. All greenlit shows remain a go at Warner Brothers, and the fall 2026 schedule is set, while new shows are being picked up already to air. Where are they getting this money? Like, how are they funding all of this? Because I don't know. Everybody's worried about their jobs. And they just participated in Comic-Con. It feels like they're going through business as usual, but this deal I don't think is going to go through. And if it does, it's not going to go through this year, and it's going to be a big hindrance. I would hope that this hearing would be a big hindrance. Ed Ellison's can. And the rumor mill has it is that money isn't even there. I see that all the time, but I don't know if that's true or not. According to Bloomberg, Warner Bros. Deal collapse would cost $9.8 billion because they have to pay the breakup fee. Wow, and they already paid Netflix $2.8 billion. Oh, the breakup fee is $7 billion, and then they already paid Netflix the $2 billion fee so that Netflix would stop chasing after Warner Brothers. This is crazy, but that's what happens. All right, I'm tired. Listen, if you like what you heard, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. There is a new interview coming out over on the website. And if you want to watch a video version of that, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see video versions of most of the interviews, as well as video versions of this podcast and video versions of the other podcasts. Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and the Constitutionals, the entertainment business news show. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Also, the audio version of the interviews is under the Constitutionals, so check that out. Follow us on social media at cpluscomedy on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky. Me on those platforms at Chad Blackwhite. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.